Yeah, give it like 1 second. Okay, you are good to go.
Awesome. I would like to call this board director meeting to order, and I would like to acknowledge the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe people. Moving forward, sorry, so to announce regrets, Director Spitzeri should be joining us late around 7:30. And Abdul Rashid will be joining whenever he can. Otherwise, we are good to keep on going. Are there any conflicts of interest to announce? Director Corey?
Yep, I just have two. I have one concerning the elections programming and one concerning anything to do with clubs and associations, AVP Brantford.
Wait, what is he's just gonna excuse himself from being in that time, what's the other policy?
You just abstain from voting if any relevant topics are not, but other than that.
Great, sounds good. Thank you, Director Corey. With that, can I get a motion that the board of directors adopt the consent agenda as presented? Consent agenda.
So like the form first,
All right.
then do the actual thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I get a motion from the board of directors to adopt the agenda as presented? Director Sloan, seconded by Director Mahari. Is there any discussion? As I see now, we're moving to voting. Any in opposition? Any abstentions? All those in favor? Motion passes. Waiting for Director Phillips to vote. No, he's not. Director Phillips, are you online? Can you put your hand up?
If he doesn't respond, you can just mark as present for the vote.
Okay, so passes 0-0-9. Then, now moving on, can I get a motion to the board of directors to adopt the consent agenda as presented? Director Hamilton, seconded by Director Sloan. Is there any discussion on the matter? Any objections? Any abstentions? All those in favor? Motion passes 0-0-9. Again. 10, thank you, Director Phillips. Okay, approval of the meeting minutes. Can I get a motion that the board of directors adopt the minutes of October 30th and November 13th? Thank you, Director Russo, seconded by Director Sloan. Any discussion? Are there any objections? Any abstentions? All those in favor? Motion passes 0-0-10. Great, awesome. I cannot provide any comments from the chair of the board and CGO other than thank you all for coming and letting us know that you're here. I'm sure if Mo gets here, he will share anything that he needs to say. Moving on, are there any comments from the acting president CEO?
Yeah, Megan sends her regrets. She's at a student advocacy conference with our vice president of government stakeholder relations until Thursday. They're advocating on student issues like food insecurity, housing and transit, student mental health, sustainability, with some government officials, some exciting stuff. She wanted to say that she had her Brantford student levy meeting, which Phil potentially will cover. She put that in next. They're waiting on university admin for the Greek Life MOU. She's sitting on a panel soon for the writing consultants for Brantford, and in her words, nothing really else too crazy right now. But if you guys have any questions on all the VP updates, I can try my best to answer.
Are there any questions from the board? Great, I do not have any currently. So that being said, we move on to comments from the executive director.
Yeah, big couple of weeks before I go on holiday, so the final compensation review presentation is going to be presented to myself and Tony Massey this Wednesday by our consultants. Where it goes from there remains to be seen. It all depends on what the recommendations are, but we'll probably adopt most of the recommendations if it's at all feasible. We are also meeting with the SEO and 2 Brantford deans to discuss challenges that some of the folks on the Brantford campus have had with the Students' Union and some of the social things that happen on the Brantford campus. So kind of curious to hear their take on a few overhanging issues. With regards to the 3rd upcoming campus, the Milton campus work is ongoing. Been in conversation with the Conestoga Students Incorporated, which is the Students' Union for the Conestoga students, Conestoga College students. Thank you. Trying to figure out what opportunities there might be for bus routing for Laurier students on the Milton campus, at least for the first couple of years. They have, as I understand it, been in conversations as an institution with the city of Milton and Milton Transit, and are prepared to kind of have a route done up for them. Unfortunately, Laurier doesn't have the same resources and hasn't done that, so we're relying heavily on the partnership with Conestoga Students Inc. to be able to get a route up and running for our Milton students starting next year. Conestoga College opens classes on that camp on their 2 respective campuses in Milton as of January. We're also in the process of working with Student Affairs to create a Student Affairs generalist position that will be able to help all the students on the Milton campus kind of navigate Student Affairs and some of the resources that Student Affairs offer students on all our campuses. So for example, wellness, athletics and recreation, accessible learning, etc. And with that discussion is one that has yet to start, at least formally, is discussion around what the fee structure for students will look like on the Milton campus. That's about it for Milton. So as was discussed moments ago, the Student Life Levy met today and awarded money to multiple projects on the Brantford campus. I believe there was 2 that were outright not funded, but ultimately I can't update too detailed as the project managers need to be updated first before we make that stuff public. But I thought it was a very well-run and executed meeting. We reviewed 10 projects in total and gave out quite a bit of money for projects on the Brantford campus. So pretty excited about that. I think Sebastian can back me up on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the specific notes we got in the meeting was that it was well run too. I had a question for you in terms of Milton.
Okay.
I know you said that kind of Student Affairs is going to have a generalist there. Would
Yep.
the Students' Union be included in that, or are we going to be separately
100
represented, or?
100%, the beginning of our presence on Milton campus will be a partnership with Student Affairs. So that generalist will have Students' Union knowledge and background and training. Because the student body on Milton campus is going to be relatively small, we don't necessarily have the resources to contribute to full-time staffing, or space. So we'll very much lean heavily on our partnership with Student Affairs through the Student Affairs Advisory Agreement to get those positions up and running. There are going to be some positions available for what we're calling peer-to-peer counselors, which is essentially young graduates from Laurier that will have work in Milton to try to create that student-to-student type of engagement that has done so well for the Brantford campus as well as the Waterloo campus over the years. In an effort to kind of be able to start to develop young student leaders on the Milton campus, and then 2 to 3 years later, kind of have them jump into those positions. So the Students' Union will have a heavy role within Student Affairs, helping develop and staff those positions. Yes.
So, and a follow-up that might be a little premature, but are we kind of considering it as a campus on which we operate kind of for our purposes as an organization and board, or is that something that would kind of come later down the line?
So that will more than likely come later down the line once a different space becomes available and their student population gets to a critical mass. The initial enrollment class is targeting just over 100 students, which is not a ton. So we'll have a presence on the Milton campus. It just won't be 5 days a week or 7 days a week type of presence. And then as Milton starts to grow, we'll have to take a look at our own policies and board makeup, et cetera, et cetera. But the aim right now, knock on wood, is for a slow, steady growth in Milton, which should be able to buy us time to make sure that we are measured in our approach.
Absolutely. That's all I had.
All right, 3 more updates. We're continuing to work with Athletics and Recreation on their referendum. We have gotten the price tag on that, which was discussed at the last board meeting, actually lower than what we discussed, pretty significantly lower. So we're pretty happy about that. And we're excited to kind of partner with them and figure out what the future looks like with regards to that department. Will's project is ongoing. We got our first drawings of concepts back. I was off Friday, Thursday, so it would have been Wednesday, I guess. And so we're in the process of kind of getting consultation and feedback from staff leadership, as well as the student leadership within the students' union. And we will be submitting that feedback back to the architects to see what can be done to accommodate some of the things that we want to prioritize and find out what's not realistic to prioritize from a budgetary standpoint. And last update, a lot of our student union staff did a visit to the Woodland Cultural Center last week to continue our learning on indigeneity and reconciliation. It was a wonderful kind of couple of workshops and then a crafting exercise at the end of the day. A lot of fun and learning was had by all. And that's it.
Great. Are there any questions from the board? Director Hamilton?
Are there any opportunities for like the board to be involved in the feedback?
Yeah, for sure. So the architect kind of, hopefully they're not watching this, they kind of missed the mark. Part of what they were supposed to do is present several options, or in my mind, at least 2, so that we can kind of pick and choose what we like. They firmly believe that the concept that they have put forward is their preferred and most feasible thing based on what we projected our budget to be. So there's not a ton to feed on, pardon the pun. But yes, absolutely, there'll be an opportunity for the board to weigh on that for sure.
Are there any other questions from the board? I have a quick question. It also regarding Milton campus. It also may be premature, I'm not sure. What is funding towards that campus being built, specifically in student tuition? What does that look like, and where would it be going specifically? That may be a very broad question.
So I'm gonna read it back to you to make sure that I pick it up what you're
Yeah.
putting down. So you want to know how student money is being used to build a Milton campus?
Yeah.
Is that relatively accurate? So it's important to remember that tuition and ancillaries are 2 very different things. So tuition goes to all the things academic that you pay for. So your prof, your classroom, those types of things. Feel free to fill in any gaps that I may miss. Whereas the ancillary fees kind of go to build out kind of the whole student experience. So I know that there is some startup capital from the government, as well as the universities put money aside to kind of start it up, but there's not a ton of it to the best of my knowledge. So for example, I know that the long-term vision is to have an actual building put on the land that was given to us or donated to us by the city of Milton. But currently right now, the campus will be a rented facility just south of the 401. If anybody's familiar with Highway 25 in Milton or Brownie Road, there's that kind of McDonald's right off the highway. It's basically just down the street from that particular facility. And so, yeah, I think that'll be the startup capital. And then as the student population builds up, their funds will be dedicated to that particular campus.
Awesome. Thank you. That was all I got. If there are no more questions, then we can move on to directly inspection committee for EL2E. So in the board agenda package, if you go down the bunch, there is a DIC report. Very well, actually. Look at that. Explaining on what the inspection, what we specifically are looking to add. We can talk through it. If nobody has read it or looked at it. Specifically, the purpose of this committee meeting was we just really wanted more information and transparency in financials, so we just added more specific, different types of reports and projections, that we were, may want to use in the future for greater, transparency purposes. So, are we motioning to accept it as is, or discussion was, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with this.
So the board can chat about the proposed changes to the policy, and then if the board's in agreement, you would motion to accept the report and make the changes to EL 2E. So it depends on kind of whether the board is in agreement with the changes.
So I will open up a discussion to all directors to comment and question about the report. Director Corey, go ahead.
Absolutely. What are kind of just in terms of predictions, what do we think kind of the added benefit of these of this information is, and then kind of how much extra work does that put on Chris Turner and the operations and finance staff?
So if I remember correctly, because this was a bit of time ago, so from what I remember from the discussion that we had, and this was specifically, this discussion was from the original conversation that was had, the financial discussion we had with the board, that these types of numbers and projections would have been created already, so it's other than just sending them over type of thing, as well as the purpose of adding different types of projections and reports, just to show more like the qualitative number side and specifically what goals looking to project to. So like the growth projections and specifically KPIs, just to give a little bit of dichotomy of what we're looking at in terms of the financial side of the students union. Yeah, go ahead.
Would you be willing to like meet with someone who could explain all these kinds of reports, just like, for example, someone who's not familiar on the board, or would it just be kind of like we just look at them together?
So well, we have when how often do this Chris and everybody they come in?
So there are typically 3 periods where, several years back, the board asked for quarterly reports, which based on the way that the school year kind of plays itself out, wasn't exactly ideal. So now once a term, the finance department is supposed to come and present the financials, so they give you a better snapshot of where we are at those particular moments in time. So if you add those to the audited financial statements that were presented a couple of meetings ago, I want to say, there would be 4 opportunities plus the budget meeting to kind of present financials, projected financials, and what key performance indicators we'd be looking for.
Right, so that's what I was assuming, because as was EL2E before, just to understand it correctly, that was being abided and used during those meetings, right? So it would just be adding those. So would there need to be added a specific part in EL2E explaining that all those would be in for those meetings specifically, or would that be sort of?
So as I understand it, what you're presenting is a very specific list of financial statements, with the exception of the qualitative performance indicators. So that's type of work that can be put together with relative ease, he says, gently rapping on the wood. And then ultimately the qualitative key performance indicators would be some of the goals that we would set financially for the organization and be kind of relatively easy to measure. So it is a little bit of extra added work, but I don't think that that's an unreasonable ask.
Right.
And then we can definitely bring Chris back to as many meetings as we need to bring him back to kind of help walk through and train up the board for those that aren't necessarily familiar and comfortable with financial statements.
Right, and another point, that was why we wanted to add the KPIs, because it was really just numbers on a screen.
Yep.
And even for the board directors, and more importantly, like those sitting in the gallery, it's just easier to understand and more transparency. So that's what we thought was good. So with that being said, can I get a motion to, I guess, adopt, the changes to EL to E, as from the Director Special Committee, Director Corey, seconded by, Director Baldwin. Is there any discussion on the matter? As I see none, moving to voting, are there any objections? Well, Director Corey, you still have any questions? Thank you, just like to stand up. Are there any objections to the motion? I will assume Director Corey's hand is still up and he does not object. Are there any abstentions? All those in favor? The vote passes 0-0 to 9, excluding Director Corey's vote. Great, with that, sorry, I need to scroll all the way back up. Direct Inspection Committee election, this is for EL2H. This is director for executive succession. And board committee structure. So I believe correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the committee is made up of the chair and 3 other board directors. So I will automatically sign up the chair for that. Are there any nominations to sit on EL2H? Yeah,
I don't know.
of course.
Okay, I
Any other nominations? I would like to nominate Director Baldinelli. And if there is anybody, nobody else wants to. Okay, I will nominate myself as well. That's okay. Any other nominations? Director Baldwin?
I'm gonna elect Director Baldwin.
Director Baldwin? You're gonna stand? Our votes,
Yes.
Director Russo and Baldinelli, will you guys stand as well? Director Russo will. Director Baldinelli?
Yeah, I'll stand.
Okay, I will not stand. Thank you, guys. So, now I will need to motion this committee, correct?
Wait, motion to elect.
Motion to elect them, yeah. So can I get a motion on the table to elect, Director Russo, Baldinelli, and Baldwin, as well as the chair, to the, DIC for EL2H? Director Sloan, can I get a seconder? Director Mahari? Is there any discussion on the matter? Any objections? Any abstentions? I think everyone to be voting on has to abstain, right? It doesn't really matter. Okay, any objections, abstentions rather? All those in favor? Motion passes 0-0 to 10. Great, that was nice and easy. Ownership linkage midterm summary report.
Sorry, there's 2 DICs to be elected. One is executive succession,
Oh,
the second is
I
board
totally thought they
committee.
were all the same. Executive succession is 2H, sorry, I totally misread that.
No worries.
That was my fault, thank you for that. Okay, we'll do this. Again, this is GP2G. Are there any nominations for this? VIC, I will nominate myself and I will stand this time. Any other nominations?
Just one minute.
Yeah, it should take 1 minute, it takes like. You sure? Anybody else? No? Okay, Director Russo and Director Boardroom, Director Ellis, is that for you?
Yeah, I
Yes,
stand.
great. Are there any other nominations? As I see none, can I get a motion to elect myself, Director Russo, Director Ellis, as well as the chair to DIC GP 2G, Director Mahari, seconded by Director Hamilton. Is there any discussion on the matter? Any objections? Abstentions? All those in favor? Motion passes 0-0 to 10. Okay, now we can move on to the ownership linkage midterm summary reports. Director Corey, do you want to talk about this or should I?
We can tag each other out, I imagine. There's not too much to go
Please.
over. Yeah, so we finally established a regular meeting schedule, and that's been every 2 weeks as opposed to weeks that the board meets in full. And so that's been working really well for us. That's something that we're looking to do in the upcoming term. In terms of kind of progress to date, we were at Get Involved Fair as a full board. We did boothing in conjunction with the ad hoc committee. And as well, we've explored several marketing opportunities, both with internal options and to collaboration with other student union clubs. We have a couple things that we're planning to do in the future. I'm going to let Daniel cover this just because it gets a little close to my conflicts of interest.
Great. Yeah, future plans. Really specifically, we're looking to support directly elections programming, organizing, so specifically with that, organizing different dinners at Wills, for example, with the executive leadership team, board of directors team. We plan on doing that before winter break, so we'll be talking about that next week, and we'll be sending out information shortly thereafter. Additionally, a dinner between the president and the board of directors members elected, the board member elects, is that how you say that? I'm not sure. Afterwards, elections as a celebratory, congratulatory type meal to get them ready for the year to come. So those are some of our big future plans, what we look to do, as well as continue to plan different initiatives to get connected with our ownership. We also included a little subsection of what we can do what we can do better still. So to enhance our operations, we recognize that we need to be a little bit more intentional and proactive scheduling, for example, with marketing, letting them know a little bit ahead of time to get right posts or stories that we need. For example, we were a little bit late on that with the campus safety boothing, for example. So get a little bit more ahead on that, and something that we will continue to work on the next half of the school year. Other than that, that is all for the ownership linkage committee. Director Corey, feel free to jump in if I missed anything, but I think that's all good. Great. Board of directors headshots. I'm not sure what Bo's going to talk about that.
The chair wanted me to bring to you guys to put on the agenda for directors to get headshots, and that was all that I know. So I guess you're just discussing if you'd like headshots.
I think having headshots would be a great idea. I think maybe we should schedule a time both in Waterloo and Brantford where they can come at a meeting wear decently professional clothes and get a headshot taken to put on the website. Is there like a camera? Can we get someone from marketing to take a picture, or something to just do with the phone?
So Rebecca Lee in the marketing department, she's taken all the headshots for the staff. So absolutely, we can make those arrangements.
Okay, so there is another board meeting, the last board meeting is next week, correct?
It's the
Or 2 weeks.
11th, right?
Right.
So if you want to dress up and get some headshots, I'm sure we can figure something out.
Right, so could we try to figure something out for that day to take the headshots on for the meeting?
The multi-campus part might make it difficult, but not
So
undoable.
I have scheduled with the chair to do a marketing video on the 11th before the board meeting. And so I'm not sure how long the marketing video will take,
Mhm.
but I've been told like an hour and a half is a good time to project and predict. So I don't like, I guess he could take his photo last or something like that.
Right. There's a question from Director Corey.
Sorry, not quite a question. I just think I can shed some light onto the chair's state of mind with this. Just generally kind of, I think the idea going for this was just, I think he had noticed that all the headshots on the website got updated, and then looked at the board one and realized that half of us don't even have pictures. And so I think that's kind of something that he wanted to address with this. And then I believe he was planning to do something on, or he was planning to get, I think, everyone to Waterloo or everyone to Brantford or something, just to kind of make it easier to facilitate.
There was a social, supposed to be a dinner after board meeting at some point. No, that's.
Yeah, that was,
Okay, good time.
Oh, really? I should be asked them, somebody.
I do not have a headshot.
Oh.
Yes, they're all.
Right, so I mean, this one we took it, correct, yeah, trying to find the time. Everybody to be in one location to send it, but obviously that is hard, multi-campus.
Board dinner, we most scheduling board dinner.
Busy here too, so we can try to reschedule the board dinner and encourage all those not in Waterloo College.
So what I might suggest is, like, operationally, we can connect with Mohammed and kind of figure out a time where he thinks is best for everybody to get together. And at that time, we'll make sure that marketing is available to take some sort of headshot and get those up on the website when ready.
Great,
Does that seem reasonable?
yeah, that seems really very reasonable. Okay, so then that will be taken care of with the chair and operations separately. Okay, moving on to Terrace Food Court.
Yep, that's me. So we did receive several quotes, far more than 3 actually. And it turns out, if anybody paid attention to the brief from the last meeting, that my information was slightly skewed on the incorrect side of things. The $16,000 one that was in the brief last time, we would have had to buy 2 of those, so ultimately would have become a $32,000 to $33,000 expense. And so I met with Tom Bourbonnais, who's the general manager for Aramark, who oversees the Terrace Food Court on our behalf. And based on the agreement that we have with Aramark, we are responsible for upgrading the capital purchase. This one is going to be specifically for the sushi unit inside the Union Market. And it is, as I'm told, by far the busiest and the most, I don't know if it's profitable, but definitely brings in the most money for the sushi place. So it is our recommendation to go with what Tom has presented as his choice. So I would need to have the motion for the board to approve up to, but no more than $30,000, which is an after-tax number.
No question.
Yeah, fair enough.
Did it just like break down? Whatever happened, or is it in?
The fridge, the display fridge that they currently have has been, it's destroyed for all intents and purposes, yes, and is no longer. So we have a really great guy on campus through the facilities asset management team who keeps our refrigeration type products running on a very long time. And this can no longer be repaired.
Would the new bridge be the same type of bridge, would the same be the same?
Conceptually, yes.
Sorry, so last time we approved, or like the $16,000 one, but then now you're not getting it.
So no, we tabled it, but I did have the brief, but I hadn't been given the quotes, so I wasn't comfortable bringing it without the quotes. So now that we have the quotes, that brief was altogether incorrect, and it would have ended up being double that.
Sorry, can I just to quickly interject, I'd just like to say that Director Spazieri has joined, board directors meeting. Yeah, continue. Any other questions? Okay, if there are no more questions, can I get a motion that the board of directors approve up to $30,000 from the food court budget for a new display fridge for the terrace food court? Director Corey, seconded by Director Baldinelli. Can I get any discussion on the matter? Okay, are there any objections? Any abstentions? Brent, okay, all of those in favor? Motion passes 0-0-11. Great,
Thank you.
of course, come on back up. All right, presentation opportunity.
Yes, so you saw in the brief, representative from the Ontario Ombuds Office reached out. They're looking to connect with various post-secondary institutions to kind of chat about their services. So if you're not familiar, the Ontario Ombudsman is a provincial agency that deals with conflict and disputes at a high level. So if you have an issue that you kind of worked all the available avenues at Laurier, but still feel like you've been wrong in some way or another, you can appeal your case to the Ontario Ombuds Office. So they would like to come and chat with the board and just kind of talk a little bit about their services and the experiences that they've had in the sector. They've been available to the sector for, I want to say, about 6 or 7 years now. So it's still a relatively new process available. So if the board's amenable, I can connect back in with them and see if they're available either for our next meeting or sometime in the new year when that's scheduled.
Great. Thank you, Ian. Questions, Director Corey?
Yeah, is your kind of understanding that they're kind of looking to just give like a general, here's what we do, or they kind of, do they have something specific that they want to present on?
From what I understand, is kind of general awareness and knowledge.
Director Hamilton,
Do you know, are they non-profit or is it?
So it's like an arm's length governmental organization.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it gets funding by the government, sure. Are they hoping to like do promotion already?
Yeah, I think that they want, I think they're reaching out to most university student audiences specifically, and are just kind of interested in, again, creating more awareness, given that they've it's only been, their jurisdiction was extended to post-secondary again about 6 or 7 years ago, so relatively new avenues. I think they want to make sure students are all aware that should you find yourself in that situation, that's something that you can pursue with the.
Director Corey, do you still have a question?
Yeah, one just came to me. Am I right in kind of assuming that this has been all cleared by GSR? They don't see any issues with the board having that meeting and it impacting their priorities, or?
Yeah, it's a good opportunity. It's kind of intended for a general audience. We don't have any kind of files open with that office, so no flags there.
Okay, great.
Great. If there are any other questions, should we talk about a date to invite them? You said they would be fine for next board meeting.
Yeah, given that's the only one that we have on the books, I can offer that up, and if they're not available that day, we can just reconnect once you start doing your schedule.
I'm just thinking that maybe harder if we're doing pictures beforehand, and if there's a board goes with maybe the meeting maybe run a little late. I understand that's the only one we have scheduled, but how do people feel about doing one in 2 weeks as opposed to in the new year, or there's a.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think next board meeting, you're going to be. So and I don't think the presentation, like, I think the presentation should wait until like the new year.
All right, any other comments from board, Director White?
It might be useful to kind of throw it sometime in the exam period, and just if we can catch everyone in between exams, that might give us a broader availability too.
Yeah, sure. Any other comments?
There's certainly no urgency, so it's,
Yeah,
we can wait until.
yeah, I feel that the issue during exam period is everybody has completely scheduled, there's no really consistency with that, so I feel that also may be hard. And if there is no urgency, then I certainly feel that scheduling in once we have figured out when we're going to be meeting in the next term, that would be beneficial, and we can look to schedule that as early as possible. So then, can I motion that the board of directors extend an invitation to representatives of the Ontario Ombudsman to present at a future meeting in the winter term? Director Mahari, seconded by Director Sloan. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Any abstentions? All those in favor? Motion passes 0-0-11 rather. Great, okay, so we will keep that as an action item moving forward. But sorry, that's a question. I'm assuming the next meeting will be scheduling for the winter term, correct?
It'll be considered, yeah.
Okay, so then I think it would be smart to add that when to schedule in that meeting as well for next week. Okay, general meetings and elections. Well,
Hi, let me just present my screen, please. Oh. Can everybody see? Hopefully. Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, this is just like a general update because going into December and January, like that's when it's all gonna be ramping up and like nomination packages are out and so are like volunteer opportunities for elections. So that's all been out. And I thank you to Sarah Brophy for her help for that. So yeah, I just wanted to come and give you a general update. So basically we're gonna talk about like the new Lori Lopes logo, a little bit about like cost allocation, just like generally speaking, what I think I'm going to spend money on, and then like some prizes, food incentives, again, like the volunteers, marketing plans, and then just some key dates we're going to talk about. Okay, so here are the logos. There's 5 different colors and 2 different kinds. So it's kind of like the Students Union logo where there's like a full logo and a half logo. The full logo will be for like things that require full logos where it's like you want to know what it is, and then the half logo is just for more like quick abbreviations and stuff like that. So like for example, like I wanted to get Tukes as like election prizes, so they would be like the half logo because like it's smaller. Whereas like sweaters, I'd use like the full logo, or maybe the half logo. I don't know. It's up in the air still. So yeah, I have this, and then there's the color codes, and I don't know if you've checked out the Instagram so far, but I've kind of like archived all the old posts so that like we're starting like fresh in the sense that it's like the 2023-2024 election year. And like there's like a color scheme that we're focusing on too now so that everyone knows like a more cohesive like manner and pattern in comparison to what's just in comparison to previously, so that people know like we're starting elections. Yeah, that was provided by marketing associate Aiden. Super thankful for him. So basically I have like 3 major costs, which I'll be allocating like money to. So it's like food incentives, promotion, and then like prizes. So promotion is less of like like you should vote. Or yeah, it's more like you should vote, whereas prizes are like, oh, because you did this, like we're gonna reward you for it. So kind of one and the same, but also like different. Oh, and the price split is roughly 25% Brantford, 75% Waterloo, in a sense that like more money is gonna be given to Waterloo, not because I don't like Brantford, don't worry. It's just because of like the student population, and that's just what's been done before, and yeah. Okay, so I'm meeting with Meg tomorrow to like finalize election prizes and supplies, because we've been talking numbers about like quotes for buttons, for hats, like how water bottle is gonna look, stuff like that. So tomorrow we're gonna be like hopefully putting in the order, because I have like all my budgets done. So like I'm thinking of doing like baskets as well as like gift cards, because obviously gift cards are like an easy thing that people kind of want, because it's just like money. But I thought baskets would be really cute, because we have a lot of like SU stuff left over too. And so I was gonna disassemble some kits and whatnot, and then plug it in with some like election specific stuff. So as I said, like there's some toques, sweaters, and water bottles that we'll just get in there. Also some like trucker hats and stuff like that. So like they're kind of like, people generally like it, they're fun, they're cute, and promotes Laurier votes. And then apparel, this is just kind of like stuff to hand out when I'm boothing to encourage voters. So like this is like buttons, pens, semi-permanent tattoos, like notebooks and stuff like that. Yeah, that sounds really fun. And then so food incentives, definitely February. So there's 3 days of voting. And so the food incentives are like mainly focused for the voting days. So February 1st is our last voting day. And last year we did it with Wilfs to do floats for votes. So that's what we're going to do again this year. I've been assured that this can also be done in Brantford, because Andy said that they're starting up like the Brantford side of things for food incentives, and there will be an ice well, which is like the main thing you kind of need, because you need like pop and stuff, and it's more expensive to get like canned as opposed to like uncanned, like coming out of the tap or whatever. So yes, floats or votes will be like a Waterloo and for kind of thing. And then in Waterloo specifically, I'm in contact with AVP Sophia to talk about partnering up with Sweet Lou's and Crumble Cookies for the January 30th and 31st. And then I'm going to talk to the Brantford.
My bad.
That was me. Okay, the Brantford ADP to do something similar. So obviously, like I don't think there's a Sweet Lou's in Brantford, but it'll be kind of similar to where it's like a sweet treat that you can like take to the go. It's not going to be anything like, I don't know, like a burrito, half a burrito, just because like food problems is that stuff, or it's like you gotta keep it heated or refrigerated. So cookies and like this kind of stuff is kind of easy to do. Okay, so volunteer recruitment, and I just wanted to also touch on the update to Laurier votes. Like, so basically I've centralized everything into the link tree. So every QR code that's going out for marketing will be the exact same one, and it'll all lead to the Instagram link tree where you can navigate it really easily, like on your mobile and whatnot. And then from there you would go to like a nomination package, volunteer sign up, I don't know, like board members, resources like that. So that would be like the best way to do it. And so I did boothing and I got about 18 volunteers. And so far, like 4 of them have signed up. But then tomorrow I'm doing a bit of recruitment. I've asked some profs so I can go into classes and speak to students to encourage them to sign up. So kind of hopeful. It's not too bad. It's just December 4th to 8th, January 8th to 12th. And then obviously the key important dates is January 30th to February 1st, because we're going to be handing out like prizes and food, stuff like that. So you kind of want to need volunteers. So I don't know if any board members are going to be running again for board. So obviously if you are, you can't be a volunteer, but if you're not, like, get in touch, sign up. Like I'd love to have you, no pressure though. Okay, so then Ashley has shared with me a marketing plan. It's like an Excel spreadsheet. I didn't attach, but basically it just entails everything that marketing is going to do for us, whether it be like digital or physical posters. Digital would be like on the FNCC billboard, and then physical posters would be like ones that you're kind of seeing all around that's saying the nomination packages are out. So that's kind of yeah, like it'll be taken down when nomination packages close for like voting period or stuff like that. So that's the kind of like posters we're doing. And then we've signed up to do the Laurier Instagram takeover. So it's not like the Students Union one or like Brantford Waterloo Life Campus, like the official Laurier one, where it has like a lot more reach and stuff like that. And we're gonna do it on the Monday of this beginning of voting period, so the 30th, I believe. So that's pretty exciting because that'll encourage everyone to vote and it'll have like a broader reach to it than, well, the Students Union one is great, but just like, it's just general. And then display case. So I've been in contact with a bookstore to put something in the display case to signal laureate books. So I'm like crafting this right now. And it's like this giant like sign. It's 4 foot by 6 foot, which is pretty tall, and it's like tissue paper and chicken wire. I don't know if you can picture it, and I'll show you my TikTok info after if you'd like to know. But yeah, it's like this huge sign we're gonna leave in the display case. I hope to get it done by January like 15th or like latest December 15th, latest December 20th, for it to be up like before the holidays start, before everyone leaves, just so that like I don't forget about it once January comes. And yeah, again, there are the boothing dates and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's basically all. Oh, I have a DRO hiring, and that was done in late October, but we finally have her onboarded. All the training is done, contracts are signed, and I'm meeting with her Wednesday to coordinate what Brantford's gonna look like in terms of elections. So yeah, anybody have any questions so far? That's it. I don't know what I said so far.
Are there any questions from the board?
Nomination packages are due this January 14th at 11:59 p.m. You can hand it in. This is not to the board, but it's to everybody who's listening. You can hand it in person to any SU desk in Brantford or Waterloo, or online at sucro@wlu.ca.
Just a question about how would current board members, if they wish to run it for next year, go about that if they don't?
So it'd be the exact same process as regular people who have not been board members this term or next or whatnot. So you would take the nomination package, fill it out. I think the requirements are a certain amount of undergraduate signatures. I think you also need to have a show of ID, whether it be your health card or your driver's license with like photo ID. And then if you're having a campaign manager, you would have your campaign manager also sign on. Yeah. Yeah, and then like when nomination packages close, we'll have an all candidates meeting. You'll come, know what's happening, and then once elections start, that entire week you'll be campaigning.
Right. Yeah, Director.
I don't know if you know this, but so like the Senate and the Board of Governors, they're 2-year terms. Can someone run but then like leave after the first year if they're graduating? That's a thing.
Yeah.
Certainly not their preference.
So it is if you're going to be graduating, they're happy for you to be part of it.
Are there any other questions from the board? As I see none, we can move on. Thank you very much, Orlin, for the very lovely presentation. Okay. So with that, I would like to motion that the board of directors proceed into an in-camera session. The Director Corey, seconded by Director Spitzeri. Any discussion? Any objections? Any abstentions? Oh, Director Spitzeri, are you objecting or no? No.
Sorry, I was just trying to get the thumbs up, down. It wasn't moving.
All those in favor? Motion passes 0-0 to 11.